Hello, this is the next rendition of a Maya tutorial. First thing today that I'm going to go over is not so much the artsy side of Maya, but some technical details and areas of interest that might not be so exciting and creative, but will definitely save us much heartache implement it. At very best, it's going to start giving us some good habits when we open up Maya. That being said, as you can see, I've opened up Maya, which the first thing that I did was since I clicked on my Maya icon. Now this is as opposed to had I clicked onto an MB file in order to open up Maya. While it's possible to do so, I don't consider that a very good habit to practice. First of all, reason being is when you open up a project using an MB file, while it does open up Maya, it doesn't necessarily retain any of the image links or any other set values that we had set in our project probably from the start to begin with. So that can lead to many errors such as texture errors, which going over what a texture error will look like, let me open up and cause an error really fast. So I'm just going to take a blend, throw in a color just for reference, apply it to my object. Break the connection. As you can see, Maya defaults it to kind of like this, not quite olive gray or olive green, but it's this green tone. This means that it's been broken as opposed to the more pastelish green that I had on it previously. I probably should have picked a better color for reference. But the point stands that if I render this, there's nothing. We can see that the polygon is there, or the geometry is, but there's nothing. That is because there's no texture assigned to it. In order to see it, we are going to have to assign a texture, which textures geometry usually has a default Lambert 1 as its assigned texture for the polygons. So there, now we can see it. How do we alleviate this? Well, this comes with the simple process of just setting up a project file. So I would go project, or file, project, set. Then I would come down to, let's just pick up one of these and set the project. So now when I open the scene, if the project was properly set, I will have all my attributes and my MB files right on hand, just how I left it inside the project folders previously. Okay, very important to do. Like I said, people usually develop the bad habit of opening it up through the MB file. One of the other things that could possibly happen, because you could have a whole bunch of these breaks and connections, Maya can start getting confused and possibly corrupt the file, which a corrupt file means that that file is no longer usable and you cannot work on your project with that file anymore. And that's a very bad thing, apparently, obviously. So just don't do it. First thing you do, always open up Maya straight and set your project file. One of the other options that we like to do, since Maya has a very customizable interface and workspace among us, we want to make sure that all of our bars sometimes are set. Because accidentally, when we're working, we could accidentally click off on certain items that would take away our window viewing options. So in case that event happens, what we want to do is go to Settings, Windows, Setting and Preferences, Preferences. This opens up a menu that has this little side tabs of a bunch of different Maya options that we use. what I was just mentioning as far as windows closing, usually that can be alleviated by going to UI elements. UI elements, as you can see by default, should have all of these checked off. If we accidentally clicked off of something, one of these checks would probably be gone. And I'll just go through this and show you what each one affects. This would be our toolbar, our helpline. Our helpline is kind of useful in the sense that when we mouse over things, it tells you in description what that object or what that icon is that we tabbed over. There's also a rollover feature, as you can see. So when I'm over polygon cylinder, it says polygon cylinder. Sometimes that option is not always enabled, but as long as we have the helpline there, that will work. Command line. Command line is for mill scripts. That's something that I will go into some detail much further down the road. Rangefinder is our animation tab here. Time slider is the animation tab above it. Shelf. This is all of our, well, this right now is default Maya shelves, but of course we can customize this ourselves. And status line is our menu setup here. Okay. Next, I want to go into the view cube. This is not. This is something that can disable itself when switching between many different camera views of Maya. It's something that actually I don't implement or use very much, and let me go into why. I'm not saying it's bad, and I'm not saying that somebody couldn't find more use out of it, but let me show you my preference on why I don't prefer to use it. The view cube helps us find, as we can see, the orientation of where we are inside our 3D space. So think of this kind of like a compass. So this is front, this is left. And by clicking onto the different faces that get highlighted on the view cube, we can rotate around our object. There's also these arrows on the side that will just give us straight-on views of the rotational of our object. It also has a little home base that will throw us up into a 3/4 upper right-hand view of our scene. While that is mildly useful, as you can see, as the longer you use Maya, you become more the camera angles and turning and rotating around an object becomes quite intuitive. So the function of being able to rotate around using a view cube seems rather mute after a while. Also, it has a few limitations. For example, since we're inside the perspective camera view, if I hit front, it looks like it's giving us an orthographic view, but in actuality, what separates the perspective view as opposed to orthographic view is the fact that perspective views convey depth. So let me show you. This would be a front orthographic view of the cube, which looks, as you can see, very similar to the front perspective view, except when I turn on my X-ray mode, we can see that there is no depth being portrayed inside the cube face. If I go to my perspective view and hit front, turn on the X-ray mode, we can see that it is actually still drawing and conveying the sense of depth inside this polygon object. Problem with that is, as opposed to the orthographic view, the orthographic view allows us to set up things quite easily and very accurately in that perspective. If we were to try and move or set up another object here in this perspective, we would have a much harder time trying to set it because we have the possibility of using three axes of dimension, as opposed to in the orthographic we just have one. So once again, I say that while this is moderately useful for some, It's not an option that I prefer using.